This is our EOC practice test. This is part 2. You're allowed to use a calculator, be much like the test we'll see tomorrow. Number 1 says there's a stuffed animal company that has eyes falling off of a giraffe. Little misdirection is kind of make you laugh at it to where you kind of get distracted a little bit. Make sure you don't let that happen to you. Set it up as a proportion. If out of 50 total giraffes, 3 of them eyes fall off. Easily. Set it up just like that. 3 out of 50 equals, then out of 1,800, how many eyes are going to fall off? If you need to write this out like this, write this out where you can just follow your model. Once it's 3 over 50 equals x over 1,800. Again, you could have these, both of these upside down and it'll still be right. Just make sure that they're on the same top and bottom. 3 times 1,800. 3 times 1,800 is 5,400, and 50 times x is 50x. So you have 50x equals 5,400. In order to get x by itself, all you do is divide by 50. Do the same thing on both sides. And x equals 108. 108. So if there's 1,800 of them, 108 of them eyes are going to fall off. 2 says Mary has a $50 budget. For the first hour, it costs $15, and there's $5 for each additional hour. This is how you're going to set it up. 5 times x plus 15 is less than or equal to 50. It has to be less than or equal to 50 because if it goes over 50, she'll go over her budget. In order to simplify this, subtract by 15. Do the same thing on the other side. And you have 5x. These will cancel out. It's less than or equal to 35. Then get rid of 5 times something by dividing by it. Do the same on the other side, and you get x is less than or equal to 7. But x is not 7. Notice that 7 is one of the hours. 7 is one of the choices. It's C. X is the additional hours because this represents the first hour. So it's actually 7 plus 1. So it's 8 hours. She can rent it for 8 hours. It says simplify this when A is 2 and B is 3. So all you're doing is in place of A, you plug in 2. So here we're going to plug in a 2. Here we'll plug in a 2. And here we'll plug in a 2. In place of B, you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to plug in a 3. The rest of it will hold true. So 2 times A plus 3 times the 3 is B minus 4 times 3 times 2 minus B minus 5 times 2 plus 4 times 3. Simplify everything. 3 times 3 inside the parentheses, 9 plus 2. 3 times 2 is 6 minus 3. And 5 times 2 is 10 plus 4 times 3 is 12. Simplify what's inside the parentheses again. 2 plus 9 is 11. And it's multiplying by 2. Minus 4 times 6 minus 3 is 3. Minus 10 plus 12 is 22. So 2 times 11 is 22. Minus 4 times 3 is minus 12 minus 22. 22 minus 12 will give you 10. And 10 minus 22 will be negative 12. Number 4 says x is less than or equal to negative 1. Or equal to means it's going to be a colored in bubble. So your bubble is going to be at negative 1, call it in. Less than, remember, these are your smaller numbers here, your negatives, these are your positives, so everything's shaded that direction. 5 says the endpoints are 3, 7, and negative 2, 4. The formula for midpoint is x sub 1 plus x sub 2 over 2. And same thing with your y's. Sub 1 plus y sub 2 over 2. You don't have to remember that formula because all you have to do is average the points. If these are your two x's, 3 and negative 2, you add 3 and negative 2 and you divide by 2. 3 minus 2 is 1 divided by 2 is 1 over 2. Do the same thing with your y's. These are your y's. 7 plus 4 is 11 divided by 2. 11 divided by 2 is 5.5. So you have positive 11 over 2. The choice is C is the correct answer. 1/2 and 11 over 2. 6 says she has a $100 deductible. They'll pay 80% after she meets the deductible, and it's a $960 total for the year. So she has $960. She has to pay 100 of it herself. Then the insurance company is going to pick up 80% of the rest of it. So 0.8 or 0.80 is how it's written actually, times 960 minus $100. Number 7 says, which one passes through these 2 points? Look at the points. This one passes through -2, +2. That's not what you're looking for. It says -2, +4. This one doesn't pass. It passes through 0, 3, not 3, 0. C passes through the wrong ones. I'm not going to show it because it's not necessary. D is the correct one. This point right here is -2, 4. -2, 4. This point over here is 3, 0. D is the correct one. 8 says, what's the rate of change? Another word for rate of change is slope. This is in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Your slope is -1/2. 9 says it's reflected across the y-axis. So think of it this way. -6, +3 will be right here. If it's reflected across the y-axis, that means it's going to be 6 away this way and +3. So your point will be at 6 here and +3. 6, 3. Reflected. This one's your y-axis. Remember which one's which. 10 says use 1.2 times 3.689. So 1.2 times 3.689 gives you the number 4.4268. Use the proper amount of significant digits. This one only has 2, so you're only going to show 1, 2 digits. Your answer should be 4.4. 11 says solve the system of equations. You have to change one of these to where, or both of them to where they match each other. 5 and 3, the smallest one they go into is 15. So if we multiply this one times 3, 3 times 5x will be 15x. 3 times 3y is plus 9y. And 3 times 7 is 21. You can do the same thing with the second equation, but it already has -5y, so it'll give us that opposite term. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to have to, I should have done it the other way. But we'll do it with, we'll multiply this one by -5. -5 times 3x is -15x. -5 times -5y is plus 25y. And again, you could have gotten slightly different numbers for this. And -5 times 23 is 135, negative times a negative. Now you have two different equations. 15x and -15x cancel each other out. 9 plus 25 is 34y. And 135 plus 21 is 156. So in order to get y by itself, you divide by 34 since it's multiplying by 34. And I feel like I've made a mistake since I'm trying to rush under the time limit. Okay, I want to start over on number 11. I was rushed when I was working on it a minute ago. We have a system of equations, 5x plus 3y equals 7, and 3x minus 5y equals -23. Neither one of these are they're not set up very well for elimination or substitution, but we'll go ahead and use elimination. If you look at the numbers 3y and -5y, we want both of those to be opposite terms of each other since one's positive and one's negative. If you use the other term, it's okay. This is the way I'm going to show you guys how to do it, though. We want the top y to become 15y because that's the smallest number that 3 and 5 go into. So we have to multiply 3y times 5 to become 15y. 3y times 5 gives you 15y. That's what we were trying to do, but you can't just multiply it by that. You got to multiply it by every term. 5 times 5x is 25x. It's positive 15y, and 5 times 7 is positive 35. You want that -5y to become -15y. So you need to multiply that by positive 3. -5 times 3 is -15y. We were trying to eliminate them, so that's the best thing we could do. But you can't just multiply it by that one. You have to multiply 3 times 3x, and you get 9x, and 3 times -23, and you get -69. So now we have two new equations. They have bigger numbers, but we have opposite terms, 15y and -15y. When we combine those two, we'll get no more y's, which is what we were looking for. 25x plus 9x, when we combine those two, we get 34x. These two will cancel each other out, which is what we were trying to do. And 35 minus 69 is negative 34. So we have 34x equals negative 34. Divide by 34, do the same on the other side. And x's value is negative 1. When you look at your answer choices, the only one that has negative 1 as an answer choice is B. But if that's not good enough for you, you can go ahead and plug negative 1 in and C. 3 times x minus 5y equals negative 23, or 3 times the value of x that we just got. So when we take that 1 and we plug it in, 3 times 1 is 3. I'm sorry, not 1, it's negative 1. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, because right here, negative 34 divided by 34. Negative 3 minus 5y equals negative 23. Get rid of minus 3 by adding 3. Do the same to the other side. You have negative 5y equals negative 20. And then get rid of negative 5 times something by dividing by negative 5. Negative divided by negative, y is a positive 4. So you have x comma y is negative 1 comma 4. And again, that is B is the correct answer for 11. Okay, number 12 says Curtis applied to Georgia Tech, and then it gives you his three numbers for his SAT scores. First one was verbal, then his writing, and then his math. So if you look at the flow chart, it says the input verbal score, input writing, and input math. When you combine all of those, the arrows, these arrows here are saying input them all in, and then is the sum, the question says, this one right here says, is the sum greater than 1600? You're either going to get a yes or a no. 720 plus 720 plus 780 is 2200 and 20. That is greater than 1600. So you're going to go over to the right where it says yes. Then they ask you the second question, is the sum greater than 2000? Yeah, we got 2200. So yes, he will be accepted. If you got no for either one of those, you would go the other path and follow the flow chart. A, Curtis will be accepted for number 12. Very simple flow chart. 13 says, what is the range of the equation y equals 2x minus 8? Remember, it's all your ranges is your y values. If you have an x, y input-output machine, you do the same thing, but instead of having x and y, just see it as domain and range, because your y is your range. So your domain is all of your x values, so 10, 11, 12, and 13. When you plug those values in to the equation above, y equals 2 times 10 minus 8. 2 times 10 is 20 minus 8 is 12. Y equals 2 times 11 minus 8. 2 times 11 is 22 minus 8 is 14. When the domain is 12, 2 times 12 is 24 minus 8, which is 16. And then when x is, or the domain is 13, 2 times 13 is 26 minus 8 is 18. So your ranges are 12, 14, 16, and 18D. Next one says she's getting her floor waxed. The question says, make sure you read the question. It says, based on the data given, how big is her floor if both of them charge the same amount? So where they both charge the same amount is where they intersect. Everybody notice that at that point where they intersect, it's at $150. But it's not asking you for 150. It's asking how big is the area of her floor. So if you look how big the area of her floor is, it's 300 square feet. So B for that one. How big is her floor? 300 square feet. 15 says, what is the characteristic of a linear function? And we kind of got a little thrown off by number 25 from our review the other day. It's a linear function. That means a straight line function. It's going to be a curved line. No, it's going to be a straight line. It's going to have a varying slope. That means the slope is going to change. An equation where the slope change looks like this because it's going up at a different rate. That's not it. It's a straight line. This is the one that confuses the other day, and I don't want to waste time going back over it. It's not undefined at x equals 0. Straight line. Change that one if you need to make that change for 15. Straight line. Linear function, straight line. It says there's 10 balls in, he has a box containing 10 balls numbered 1 through 10. Pick 4 times and put them back each time. What is the probability to always get odd numbers? Well, we know that there are, from numbers 1 to 10, there are 5 of them out of 10 are odd numbers, or this is the same thing as 1/2. So the probability of pulling, this is the first pull. He has a 1 in 2 chance of pulling an odd number. On his second pull, he puts it back, he's got a 1 in 2 chance again. Same thing with his third pull and with his fourth pull. He's going to have the same probability each time, 1 out of 2. Anytime you're looking at probabilities of more than one thing happening, more than one favorable outcome in a row, you multiply them by each other. So if you multiply straight across, 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is still 1, but 2 times itself, 4 times in this case, is going to give us 16. So the probability of pulling all odd numbers while you're putting it back is 1 out of 16. 17 says, what's the relationship of these numbers? They're relatively in a straight line, and it's going uphill, positive relationship. Says there's 50 sodas total, 32 lemon lime and 18 non-lemon lime. Let's look back at number 17. Actually chose it. It is a positive slope, but it's a linear. The relationship is linear. That's the only option that fits for that one, but it is relatively in a straight line. 50 sodas total, 32 lemon lime, 18 not lemon lime. Odds, remember, odds are your favorable outcome over your unfavorable outcome. So the odds of pulling a lemon lime soda are 32 over your unfavorable outcome of not getting a lemon lime is 18. The number 2 goes into both of these. 2 times 16 gives you 32, and 2 times 9 gives you 18. Your odds are 16 over 19, A. 19 says 3x minus 4y equals 8. What happens if the rate of change changes to -1? Another term for rate of change is just slope. Anytime you see the word rate of change or phrase rate of change, think to yourself slope. So move this equation 3x minus 4y equals 8 into something that you can see the slope in. So move your x terms. We wanted to say y equals mx plus b. That's plus or positive 3x, so subtract it. Subtract it from the right side as well. It leaves you with negative 4y on the left. Equals negative 3x positive 8, just to where you can have it mx plus b. Get rid of negative 4 times something by dividing by negative 4. Make sure you do it by every term on the other side as well. Y equals negative divided by negative is a positive 3/4 x, and positive divided by negative is a negative 2. So that equation says y equals mx plus b. Its slope in that case is 3/4. It says to change its slope to -1. So all you're doing is in place of 3/4, you're plugging in -1. So your new equation is going to be y equals -1x minus 2, or -x minus 2. B for that one. Number 20, this is another one I think we got a little thrown off a little backwards on. It says, which one is a function? I think I had you guys check the y values because we were going quick the other day. This is x comma y for all of them. Check all of your x values. If x ever shows up more than once, like 3 and 3, then these numbers have to be the same, 1 and 6. That's the easiest way to do it. They're not the same, so this one's not a function. Check it for all the rest of them. 2 shows up twice. Look at 2. The numbers are different, 7 and 3. Can't be a function. If you need to graph them, you can graph them, and you'll see that they failed the vertical line test. This one right here, the number 3 shows up twice. 3 and 3, then 1 and 4 have to be the same. They're not a function. And then D, there's no x values that show up more than once. So D is the only one that represents a function. And we'll pick up 21 in just a second.